what's up everyone? This video we're outside. We call it outside video. And this one I'm going to show you around my house. That's my house and that's my attention. This is Halloween. That's just a salt of the lighting. Well, they're looking. That's what it means. Walking.
Tuesday afternoon will be very telling. Tony Burke live in Sydney this morning. Thank you for your time. All right, let's turn now to a disturbing new headline about smoking. New data revealing this morning the number of teens using cigarettes in Australia is rising for the first time in 25 years.
It is being called a public health emergency as a new generation of smokers, those under the age of 30, emerge. For more, we are joined now by Professor Sarah Durkin from the Cancer Council of Victoria, live in Melbourne. Good morning to you, Sarah. Can you talk us through this study and what you found?
Yes, well, this new data is showing some really alarming trends. So for the past 2.5 decades, we've seen declining rates of smoking among teens. But in the last 4 years, that's turned around and we're seeing a rise in 14 to 17-year-olds smoking. And that's rising in tandem with the big increases that we know have been happening in vaping in this age group.
Yeah, let's talk about this vaping issue. It is made so attractive for young ones, all the different colours, all the different flavours. That's really impacted this issue.
Yes, it's really disturbing the way that they've been advertised and promoted to young people. And what we know from international cohort studies is that the cohort studies that follow the kids over time is that those who vape are 3 times as likely to go on to smoke. So we're really worried that this is evidence or really consistent with a gateway effect from vaping into smoking among this age group.
Smoking of cigarettes though, Sarah, do we know why teenagers are suddenly taking that up again?
Well, we think that it is consistent with those cohort studies that show that vaping can be a gateway into smoking. We think so. We don't have the data from this particular study to demonstrate that, but it would be consistent with those other studies which have found that it is a gateway.
So what do we have to do to stop this, Sarah?
Well, I think we need to tackle it on many different fronts. So there's a big package of reforms that Minister Butler has put forward, which including restricting access to e-cigarettes, as well as a number of measures to reduce the attractiveness and increase education around tobacco again. So one of the things that is in that package is banning menthol in cigarettes and other additives, which makes the feeling of the smoke as it goes down the throat and into the lungs feel less harsh and less harmful than it actually is. So that's one measure. And we know that menthol is often the type of cigarette that kids start experimenting with. And we also know that menthol makes cigarettes more addictive. So that's a really good measure. And so there are a number of other measures.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Pleasure.
Now on to that major development in the racism saga plaguing the AFL. Hawthorn legend Cyril Rioli is leading the charge among a number of other former players and families taking their case to the Human Rights Commission.
For more, we are joined by AFL.com.au senior reporter Cal Toomey and Broncos legend and Nine commentator Sam Friday. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Cal, first to you. Bring us up to speed. The Hawthorn families have said enough is enough.
Yeah, big development on Friday coming through from a group of 6 complainants with Cyril Rioli and his wife among them who were able to, for the first time publicly, identify themselves as part of this group of complainants. Now, we know Cyril Rioli's amazing history at Hawthorn on the field, a 4-time premiership player, a Norm Smith medalist at the club, one of its most revered champions. He ultimately cut short his career more quickly than most would have expected, but now has come through with this news that he's a part of this group. So we know that the AFL this week shut down its own independent investigation into these Hawthorn allegations, but now this is set to go to the Human Rights Commission, which of course means that this story and saga is going to take a little bit more time to resolve.
Yeah, it's the shadow hanging over the entire season at the moment, Cal. There was a game last night, though, not the prettiest one. Melbourne, though, glad they'll have 4 points to show for it.
Yeah, back on the winners list, the Demons, it wasn't the prettiest game. As you say, I don't think the DVD sales or name the game reviews for this one will be too high because it won't be one for the replay, but they got the win, 17-point winners over the Blues who have been struggling this season. The former Max Gorman was terrific. He was a big bonus for them. We see Jacob Van Rooyen this one, really important goal late as well. And Bailey Fritsch was fantastic with a couple of goals. In terrific form.